Truth. Ideals. Long ago, the debate between brothers led to the creation of two powerful dragon types, Reshiram being the embodiment of truth and Zekrom the embodiment of ideals. But which brother was right? Today we settle this debate the only way that makes sense. See which Pokemon can beat Black and White faster. The two box art legendaries have an insane base stat total of 680, with Reshiram being stronger on the special side and Zekrom on the physical side. The dueling dragons have very similar movesets with the exception of attacks for their secondary typings. Fire for Reshiram and Electric for Zekrom. The rules for this challenge are on screen now and they'll be in the description down below if you'd like to refer back to them. Let me know if you're Team Reshiram or Team Zekrom in the comments, and now let's get into it. We start things off as the older brother who sought truth alongside Reshiram. We know these games tend to favor physical attackers since most of the early EVs you get are in the attack stat, so this may give the edge to Zekrom. On the other hand, the dragons learn mostly special moves until level 36, so the early game seems like it'll go Reshiram's way. Make sure you watch till the end to see who comes out on top. Things really got crazy in this one. Both Pokemon start with Dragon Rage, which means everything through the first gym is gonna be a joke. After giving Reshiram its nickname, we body Bianca and Sharon, and it just takes 2 Dragon Rages to get our first badge. One huge advantage Reshiram has is that we get its attack type boosting item much earlier than Zekrom's. The charcoal is given in Nacrene City before the second gym, but we won't be getting the magnet for quite some time. We beat N with ease, but see that Pokemon are now starting to survive Dragon Rage. Let's see how Lenora goes. Dragon Rage does around 75% of Hertier's health, who actually does pretty solid damage with Takedown. The recoil means Lenora is gonna heal, so I try for an Ancient Power boost, but after not getting it, use another Dragon Rage to KO the dog. Usually I'd fear Watchog's Retaliate, but Reshiram's defense is so good that we survive in the yellow and win this battle with 2 more Dragon Rages. To put that in perspective, we just ate a 210 base power attack like it was nothing. Let's flip over to the younger brother and his Zekrom for a bit. The early game is pretty similar, but things get more interesting after the second gym. After Dragon Raging our way through Silent, we get to Nacrene City. Now things start to differ a bit. On the outskirts of Pinwheel Forest, we can grab Rock Smash, which is actually a TM in this game. Even though it's only base 40, it's the only fighting type attack Zekrom will have access to, and its huge attack stat of 150 actually makes it viable. N's Timber crits a low kick against Ideals, which is actually pretty scary, but after beating him, we can take on Lenora with the Deep Black Pokemon. I treat Hertier exactly the same way as Reshiram and also didn't get an Ancient Power boost this time around. I guess I got a few more speed EVs with Reshiram along the way since it outsped Watchog, but Zekrom doesn't, so we almost lose this battle as 2 Retaliates leaves Ideals with 4 HP before KOing the Groundhog with 2 Dragon Rages. Reshiram's 1-minute lead evaporates when this Venipede in Pinwheel Forest poisons Truth, making me go all the way back to the nurse outside to heal. Without any other hiccups, I make sure I battle this Ranger to get the Pecha Berry we'll need for Getsis and have no trouble making my way to Berg. A Fire Fang knocks out Whirlipede to start, and then Reshiram gets to level 22 where it learns Flamethrower. The 95 base power stab special move makes quick work of Dwebble and Levani as we get our 3rd gym badge. Before Route 4, we battle Bianca again, but the only one of her Pokemon to survive an attack is Dewott, who just uses Focus Energy before dying. Let's see if Sharon can do better. Well, Pignite got me into the yellow at least. For the first time in any of my runs, we don't need any of the items in Desert Resort, which is quite the time save as we go straight to Nimbasa City. N intercepts us on our way to the gym, so it's time for another fight with Team Plasma's King. Flamethrowers take out his entire team aside from Darumaka, who I one-shot with Ancient Power, so now we're free to take on Elisa. Ancient Power is strong enough to take out both Emolgas, and although her Zebstrika outspeeds us, we resist Spark as the Zebra goes down to a single Flamethrower. With a 40-minute Elisa time, let's see if Zekrom can keep up. I make sure to also grab the Pecha Berry in this run, and after getting Bianca's mana back, Iris gifts us the Yatch Berry, which shockingly will come in handy. While fighting Berg's last gym trainer, Venipede survives Dragon Rage and poisons Ideals with a Poison Tail. I don't have any poison status healing items on me aside from the Pecha Berry I need for the endgame, so I lose a minute as I go back to the Pokemon Center to heal before Berg. Without a super effective stab move, I Ancient Power Whirlipede for 70% as it screeches Zekrom. A second one gets the kill, but I didn't get the Omni boost either time. I Rock Smash Dwebble and get the defense drop, and after Smackdown KO the Hermit Crab with Thunder Fang. At 22, we learn Thunderbolt, and even though it's special, the base power difference is large enough to make it stronger than Thunder Fang. Levani protects turn 1, and then after Ancient Power does half its health, it lowers my speed with String Shot. Razor Leaf does minimal damage, and then we win the battle with our last Ancient Power. This definitely took a little longer than Reshiram though. We take Bianca down again without getting hit, and Sharon's Servine lands a Leaf Tornado before dying to 2 Dragon Rages. We need to go to Desert Resort with Zekrom, but in need of a heal, I run to Nimbasa first. While at the Pokemon Center, I also buy the TM for Reflect, which will come in handy later on. As long as I was coming here for the Rossberry, it made sense to also grab the very accessible rare candy before leaving. All of N's Pokemon get one shot, but then in a gym battle with Rich Boy Roland, his Blitzel paralyzes Zekrom. Just like with Berg, I don't have a way to heal this, so I run back to the Pokemon Center before challenging Elisa. Emolga outspeeds Zekrom and survives a Thunderbolt on 1 HP, so now Elisa will heal. I decide to use 2 Dragon Rages while tanking Aerial Aces to kill, and then the level up gives us the slight uptick in special attack we need to one-shot the second with Thunderbolt. Zebstrika opens with Quick Attack, and my best way of damaging it is Ancient Power. I get an Omni boost on my first, but this is actually bad as the second puts the Zebra in the red, extending this battle with a heal. As I continue to eat Quick Attacks, I Dragon Rage into Ancient Power, but again the Thunderbolt Pokemon is left on 1. At least Elisa is out of Hyper Potions as one more Dragon Rage seals the deal. On this level up, we get Dragon Breath, so it's finally time to say goodbye to Dragon Rage. The fact that there was a gym leader who resisted Zekrom's stab allows Reshiram to build its lead to 4 minutes. Will it continue to grow? On the way out of Nimbasa, the older brother also buys the Reflect TM and then learns Dragon Breath for itself while beating up on Sharon. By the time we finish up at Cold Storage and beat Clay's gym trainers, we're at level 32. The ground type leader should be a roadblock for both dragons since their secondary typings are both weak to him. Reshiram definitely gets the edge since it can still use fire type attacks while Zekrom's electric moves will have no effect. The Vast White Pokemon is also super effective against his Ace Excadrill. Flamethrowers KO Krokorok and Excadrill to start, and then Palpitoad goes down to 2 Dragon Breaths, only setting up Aqua Ring between attacks. Now it's time for another Bianca fight, but this one isn't so easy. Flamethrower kills Herdier, but then Dewott survives Dragon Rage to land Razor Shell and lower Truth's defense. Bianca's Hyper Potion stalling allows hail damage to build up, but then a critical hit Dragon Breath KOs the starter. Masharna survives Flamethrower and hits Psybeam, which now brings us below half health. After the next one knocks it out, a single Dragon Breath finishes Pansear, but hail is definitely something to look out for going forward. Let's jump to our next battle against Ann in Chargestone Cave. A single Dragon Breath kills Boldore, which is important to note since it has Sturdy. At the time, I didn't realize Turbo Blaze and Terravolt ignore Sturdy, but I will come to the realization later in the run. The rest of N's Pokemon are weak to fire, so 3 Flamethrowers get the job done. In Celestial Tower, I make sure I grab the TM for Shadow Claw before reaching the top where I ring the bell. Speaking of ringing bells, if you're enjoying this video, now would be a great time to show support by leaving a like, subscribing down below, and turning on that notification bell. It really helps out. Now it's time to battle Skyla. Swoobat and Unpheasant both get outsped and dropped by Flamethrowers, leaving Skyla with only her ace Swanna. After Ancient Power puts it in healing range, I use 2 Dragon Breaths to do a little less damage and get my 6th gym badge. A Skyla split of 1 hour and 3 minutes is absolutely insane, but I still have hope for late game Zekrom. The post-Elisa Sharon battle is pretty uneventful for Zekrom, and upon arrival in Driftfield City, I pop into the market to grab the Expert Belt from this guy. Before challenging Clay, I replace Ancient Power with Reflect and jump in. Expert Belt Rock Smash is a roll to one-shot Krokorok at this level, and unfortunately we don't get the kill. This allows Clay to use a Bulldoze, which does about 30 damage to us, but more importantly makes us slower than all the gym leader's Pokemon. On the heal turn, I use Reflect to cut the damage we'll take, and then I get Swaggered, which I didn't expect. We break through Confusion to kill the Croc with our now +2 Rock Smash, and then Palpitoad comes in. After setting up Aqua Ring, a critical hit Dragon Breath gets the knockout, and I'm shocked we're still in this against Excadrill. After a slash from the mole, our luck runs out as we hit ourselves in Confusion and die to a Bulldoze. This death was especially bad because I didn't use the Driftfield Pokemon Center to heal at all. When you black out in Pokemon, you're sent back to the last Pokemon Center you healed in, so now I had to run all the way back across the bridge from Nimbasa. On my second attempt against Clay, we managed to KO Krokorok with one Rock Smash, so now we're in good shape. We actually get another crit Dragon Breath against Palpitoad, so we can face Excadrill at full health. To be safe, I use Reflect off the bat, reducing Bulldoz's damage to 25. Excadrill now uses Hone Claws as Rock Smash does around 70%. A Rock Slide flinch means we need to take one more, but that's no problem for Ideals as we connect one last Rock Smash and can finally move on. Zekrom handles this Bianca fight much better than Reshiram did, so now we can cut to Chargestone Cave. Before going up against N, we can finally grab the Magnet, which will put the younger brother on equal footing with the older. Now let's take on the leader of Team Plasma. I Rock Smash Boldor, who survives and sets up Iron Defense, but next turn I take it out with Dragon Breath. Joltik goes down to Slash, and then Ferroseed survives a Rock Smash, so I have to take 2 rounds of Iron Barbs before it gets knocked out. Last is Clink, who dies to a single Rock Smash, so we can move on. Nothing exciting happens in Celestial Tower, so it's time for Skyla. Even after a special defense boost, Thunderbolt takes down Swoobat. Then Unfezant and Swanna die to the same, giving us an easy 6th badge. Zekrom keeps the margin manageable as the loss to Clay was the only setback in this portion. Outside of Twist Mountain, Reshiram is able to KO Sharon's Unfezant with Flamethrower, which brings Pignite in. 2 Dragon Breaths knock the starter out, who hit a takedown between turns. Liepard and Simisage both go down to Flamethrowers, so now we can continue toward Isserus City. With nothing to touch on before the gym, I think we can all imagine how this Bryson battle will go. After killing Vanillish with Flamethrower, Truth learns Extra Sensory. Then Beartic and Cryogonal also die to the Charcoal boosted fire attack. I make sure I grab the Dragon Fang in Dragon Spiral Tower and have the usual cutscene with N. Then I stop off in Relic Castle and Lenora gives me the Lightstone. Don't you see I already have Reshiram? Anyway, now it's back to Isserus for our final fight with Bianca. Stoutland is dropped with a single Flamethrower, but now her Samurott comes in. After our first Dragon Breath paralyzes the Otter, it can't get an attack off and we kill with one more. Musharna doesn't have enough bulk to stand up to a Flamethrower, and then Simisear also gets paralyzed by Dragon Breath. After a full restore, it just takes 2 extra sensories to knock the monkey out and we're free to move on. While crossing Two Blind Bridge, I grab the TM for Flame Charge from the Battle Girl and make my way to Drayden in Opelucid City. Reshiram's incredible special attack stat allows it to sweep Drayden's entire team with the base 60 power Dragon Breath. I'm sure people are gonna get mad at this, but I don't teach Reshiram Fusion Flare, instead opting to keep Flamethrower. It's only 5 base power stronger, but has 10 less PP. And trust me, I'm gonna need as much fire PP as possible in the Elite Four. But first we have one last bout with Sharon on Route 10. I'm not even at full health here as Unfezant gets dropped by Flamethrower. Next is Emboar, who takes 50% from Dragon Breath and then hits a takedown for a bit of damage. We take the starter out with an extra sensory, and then, like the previous battle, Liepard and Simisage go down to Flamethrowers. So far, Reshiram has flown through the game, no matter what challenges it was faced with. The younger brother is making his way to Twist Mountain, which means another battle with Sharon. After taking Unfezant down with Thunderbolt, Servine comes in. Dragon Breath does less than half to the grass type, who sets up Leech Seed to add to the residual damage from Hail while healing itself. After surviving Slash, we're hit with Slam and all the residual damage brings Ideals to 60 HP. Another Slash KOs Servine, but that doesn't mean we're home free. Liepard uses Fake Out, and since Leech Seed is still in effect, Zekrom is now left with only 12 hit points. A single Thunderbolt takes the cat down, and we manage to survive through Hail on 4. At least Sharon's last Pokemon is Simipour, so we don't take any more damage as we avoid a second Blackout. Before we can take on Bryson, we need to go to Mistralton Cave to pick up the TM for Rock Slide. After giving Ideals the Yatch Berry from Iris, it was time for the Icy Ninja. Rock Slide one-shots Vanillish, which means our berry will lessen the damage from Beartic's very strong Icicle Crash. After a pair of Thunderbolts take the bear down, we just use one more Rock Slide to knock out Cryogonal and win the battle. In Dragon Spiral Tower, we grab the Dragon Fang for the second time, and then in Relic Castle, I make sure to grab the TM for Shadow Ball. Now let's jump to the last Bianca battle for Zekrom. Stoutland actually survives a magnet boosted Thunderbolt, so next turn I Dragon Breath before taking it out with another Bolt. Embor takes a little too much damage from Zen Headbutt, so after missing takedown, Bianca heals her starter. Now she's out of heals, so 2 more take the pig out. Masharna survives a Thunderbolt and hits a side beam, so then I Rock Slide, but it actually survives on 1. All it does is defense curl, so I'm able to take it out now with Dragon Breath. Last is Simisage, who I take care of with a Thunderbolt and Dragon Breath, while all it does to Ideals is Leer. At this point, Zekrom has fallen to 10 minutes behind Reshiram and is running out of time to steal the lead. Plus, Reshiram really isn't giving any room. We get to Iris at the hour 40 mark, and let's see if Zekrom can also one-shot the whole 8th gym. Fracture dies to Dragon Breath, but then Druddigon lives on 1. At least it gets paralyzed. After a Hyper Potion from Iris, I use a Thunderbolt into a Dragon Breath to take the kill. While Reshiram didn't learn Fusion Flare, I definitely need Fusion Bolt on Zekrom. This allows Ideals to take advantage of its higher attack than special attack stat, so the PP trade-off with Thunderbolt is more than worth it. I misplay against Haxorus clicking Zen Headbutt instead of Dragon Breath. Since it has lower special defense than Druddigon, I should have realized it would die to just 1 hit from the latter. This means I need to take a Dragon Tail, and I forgot to empty my party before this battle. I let Woobat die so I can bring in Zekrom and do what I should have done from the start. A little sloppy by me on that one, but let's see how Sharon goes. Unpheasant gets taken out with a Rock Slide, and then Superior outspeeds for a coil as Dragon Breath does less than half but manages to paralyze the Serpent. Rock Slide does half of its remaining HP and gets a flinch, but next turn Dragon Breath is just short of a kill. We take a slam, and luckily Sharon doesn't heal as we take the starter out with another Dragon Breath. Liepard hits a Night Slash before dying to Fusion Bolt, and then Simipour gets destroyed by the super effective move. The older brother and his Reshiram are still hanging on to that 10-minute lead as it's time to start the Elite Four. I actually forgot I needed the Sunny Day TM, so I quickly fly back to Mistralton to pick it up. Now I teach Reshiram the Shadow Claw and Sunny Day TMs over Extra Sensory and Ancient Power. I also give Truth 2 rare candies so that it gets to level 54 and learns the much stronger Dragon Pulse to replace Dragon Breath. Now we can finally kick things off against Chantal. You might be wondering why I gave Reshiram Shadow Claw instead of Shadow Ball. Based on the damage calcs I ran, Shadow Ball wouldn't kill most of Chantal's Pokemon, but come very close and put them in range of healing. In order to make this fight shorter, I opted for Shadow Claw to do less damage from Reshiram's lower attack stat. Since fire types can't be burned by Will-O-Wisp, I'm free to set up Sunny Day turn 1 as Cofagrigus hits Shadow Ball for a bit of damage. Next turn, Reshiram destroys the Mummy with a Charcoal and Sun boosted Flamethrower. Golurk dies to the same, and then against Jellicent, I see Shadow Claw actually does a lot more than I was expecting. It gets a Shadow Ball off, and after the heal, I see my first Claw just high rolled as now the Jellyfish is out of healing range, so it dies to 1 more. Cursed Body means I can't use Shadow Claw against Chandelure, but 2 Dragon Pulses are still able to get the final knockout as the Chandelier just hits a weak payback between. After healing, it's time for Grimsley and his Dark types. I use turn 1 against Scrafty to get the Sun up as it hits Crunch for a bit of health. Now I Dragon Pulse for around 70% and the Hoodlum Pokemon Sand attacks me. This causes Truth to miss its next Dragon Pulse and take a second Crunch, also lowering its defense before we finally kill. With the Sun up, I don't need to fear Crocodile's Earthquake as long as I connect Flamethrower, which thankfully I do. After Fake Out, Liepard and Bisharp both go down to Flamethrowers, so that's it for Grimsley. As an aside, had I gotten rid of Flamethrower for Fusion Flare, I would have already been out of PP at this point. Anyway, I pop a full restore and jump into our third battle with Caitlyn. Truth opens by critting a Shadow Claw for a kill on Reuniclus, which brings in Sigilif. Flamethrower takes out whatever this thing is, and then Masharna hits the field. Dragon Pulse does around 60%, but Psychic doesn't hit too hard, so 1 more blast of Dragon Energy gets our third kill. Last is Gothitelle, who dies to a pair of Shadow Claws while helplessly calm minding between blows. Before Marshall, I replace Shadow Claw with Flame Charge, and now it's time to end things. I set up the Sun against Throw as it uses Stone Edge, opting for max damage instead of lowering my speed with Bulldoze. In this heat, Flamethrower has no trouble killing, and then Sawk comes in. I decide to use a Flame Charge to KO the bane of my existence. This is where I finally realize that we can bypass Sturdy because this Sawk, along with Ens Caracosta, have given me so much trouble in the past. Thrilled by this realization, Kinkelder and Mienshao both die to flamethrowers as Reshiram finishes the Elite Four at 1 hour and 44 minutes. Could we be looking at our first sub 2 hour run? Before we answer that question, let's see how Zekrom does with the Elite Four. Wanting to use a similar strategy to Reshiram, I teach Zekrom Shadow Ball in order to utilize its lower special attack stat against Chantal. Ideals also made it to the league at level 52, so I rare candy twice to get Dragon Claw, which as a physical attack is a huge plus over Dragon Breath. Then I give it the Rossberry to hold, and it's time for the Ghost type user. Shadow Ball does 60% to Cofagrigus, who misses Will-O-Wisp, so we get to hold on to our Rossberry. Another Spectral Sphere kills the lead, and Golurk comes in. Zen Headbutt does 50% to the robot, but instead of Earthquake like I was anticipating, it opts to use Curse, which makes my life a lot more difficult. I miss Zen Headbutt against Chandelure, and although Payback doesn't do much to us, Curse does a quarter of the Afflicted's health each turn. Even after critting Zen Headbutt, Chandelure survives, and its Shadow Ball plus Curse damage is enough to take Zekrom down. All I can really do is jump back in and hope Golurk uses Earthquake this time. Cofagrigus doesn't even try to use Will-O-Wisp on this attempt, so it gets some damage on Ideals with Shadow Ball before going down. This time I Shadow Ball Golurk for 70% and it Earthquakes, leaving us at 58 health. Another Shadow Ball gets the kill, bringing Chandelure back in. Chantal's Ace takes 70% from our Shadow Ball and then fires back with one of its own that leaves Zekrom with 9 HP. It's not much, but it's enough to get the job done as a second Shadow Ball kills and then Fusion Bolt one-shots Jellicent. Before Grimsley, I replace Zen Headbutt and Shadow Ball with Rock Smash and Fly. Then I give Zekrom the Dragon Fang to hold and challenge the Dark-type Master. Fly is able to one-shot Scrafty to open, and then Crocodile comes in and drops our attack. Even at -1, 2 Dragon Claws is enough to kill, but we do take 50% from Earthquake between turns. Against Bisharp, I use a Rock Smash for 70% as it retaliates with Night Slash for 40 damage. One more takes it out, and now only Liepard is left. It uses Fake Out for 10 HP, and after Rock Smash does 70%, it crits a Night Slash to kill Zekrom. On the next attempt, Fly didn't one-shot Scrafty, so it managed to Sand Attack Ideals. On Grimsley's heal, I used Rock Smash to make sure it would die to my next Fly. The drop in accuracy didn't change anything against Crocodile or Bisharp, but after surviving a crit Night Slash from Liepard, we miss Rock Smash and die to another. On my 4th attempt, Golurk uses Curse, which led to a death. On attempt 5, Cofagrigus crits a Shadow Ball, which left me with too little HP to get past Chandelure. Now I was at too high of a level to continue using this strategy, so I reset to when I first entered the league. I made it past Chantal, but again Fly didn't KO Scrafty and we got Sand Attacked, leading to a death at the hands of Bisharp. Finally realizing I should use the Expert Belt to guarantee a kill on Scrafty, I make it back to Liepard, but of course get critted again. My misfortune continued until I finally decided to try a new strategy. I go to the Celestial Tower and grab the Shadow Claw TM to use instead of Shadow Ball. I also leave the Expert Belt on Zekrom since it doesn't seem like Cofagrigus is using Will-O-Wisp. Now let's see how Chantal goes. Shadow Claw isn't enough to one-shot Cofagrigus, and I'm full-on foaming at the mouth at this point. After being hit by a Shadow Ball from the sarcophagus, Chantal heals and I miss Zen Headbutt. This time I connect, but a crit means another heal will come, so I take more damage from Shadow Ball. I Shadow Claw on the heal and then take Cofagrigus down with Dragon Claw. Here's the true test, Golurk. The robot dies to a single Shadow Claw, so we're actually in good shape now. Chandelure also goes down to one Shadowy Slash, and then Jellicent, like always, gets dropped by Fusion Bolt. With a consistent way to make it to Grimsley, I just need a better way to beat his team. Unfortunately, this time around, Bisharp crits Night Slash, and since Rock Smash does too much damage with the Expert Belt, Grimsley starts healing. I do manage to take it out, but then Liepard survives Rock Smash and kills me. On my next run, Bisharp and Liepard finally don't get crits, and I'm through to Caitlyn. I reteach Shadow Ball over Rock Smash and give Zekrom the Dragon Fang over Expert Belt. Now we can take on the Psychic Specialist. Dragon Claw does big damage as Reuniclus returns fire with Psychic. This is fine since it makes Caitlyn burn her full restores on her lead before it ultimately dies to Dragon Claws. Next is Sigilif, who dies to Fusion Bolt, and then we actually get a critical hit Shadow Ball to KO Masharna. Last is Gothitelle, who takes a little over half from Shadow Ball and fires off a Psychic. Too little too late, as one more Shadow Ball gives us the win and allows us to move on to Marshall. I give the Expert Belt back to Ideals and challenge the final member. Throw dies to a single fly, and forgetting we can bypass Sturdy, I Shadow Ball Sawk as it hits Stone Edge. Now I kill with Dragon Claw and Kinkeldor comes in. The Behemoth gets outsped and dropped with Fly, and then Mienshao goes down to a single Fusion Bolt. Well, at this point, I don't think Zekrom is coming back from a 34-minute deficit, but I guess there's always a chance Reshiram gets stuck. I replace Flame Charge with Reflect and go in for the endgame. Funny enough, we see Reshiram vs Reshiram, so I chuck my Master Ball and then End challenges me to one last fight. Usually the legendary you catch right before this battle goes to the front of your party, and I allow myself to bring in my monkey to get a clean switch to the Pokemon I'm using. I was kinda on autopilot here and didn't realize Truth was already out, so I still brought in Panpour to be killed. Now I make sure to bring in the right Reshiram and Dragon Pulse for our first kill on Zekrom. Carracosta is next, but the Dragon Fang boosted Pulse kills the turtle since we can bypass Sturdy. Archeops also goes down to Dragon Pulse, and then Klinklang and Vanillux die to Flamethrowers. Last is Zoroark, but it just takes one more Dragon Pulse to finish things off here. Getsis immediately challenges us to battle next, and since I can't one-shot Cofagrigus with Dragon Pulse, our fate is sealed by Toxic. It's just not possible to get through a full team of 6 while Toxic damage builds up, and after the Undead Pharaoh, we go down to Bouffalant. Since I have Panpour and the second Reshiram in my party, I need to wait for them to go down before I can finally give Truth the Pecha Berry and go back in to settle things. I open with Dragon Pulse, which keeps Cofagrigus out of healing range, and then my berry cures poison. One more blast of Dragon Energy gets a kill and Bouffalant comes in. I set up Reflect here so Head Charge only does a bit of damage. Now I can Dragon Pulse twice while taking one more Head Charge to knock out the Afro Buffalo. After Dragon Pulse brings Seismitoad into the yellow, it uses Rain Dance to boost its own moves and weaken my Flamethrower. I'm pretty unaffected here as I just use another D-Pulse to KO the Toad, bringing in Bisharp. I use Sunny Day to get rid of the rain and survive the super effective Stone Edge with 27 HP. Now Flamethrower kills and Getsis' ace Hydreigon goes down to a single Dragon Pulse. Last is Electros, and I'm not sure if Flamethrower will kill, but it's my best bet. Perfect. We may be bleeding out, but we made it through Getsis. After getting through the ending dialogue, Reshiram has successfully become the first Pokemon to break the 2-hour threshold, clocking in with a time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 58 seconds. Now we can turn back to Zekrom to see how its endgame goes. I reteach Rock Smash over Shadow Ball, and with the Expert Belt in hand, go into the fight with N. Ideals opens with a Dragon Claw to KO Reshiram, and Vanillux comes in. The Ice Cream Cone and Archeops both get destroyed by Fusion Bolts, and then Klinklang hits the field. The gears get busted up by a pair of Rock Smashes while getting a Metal Sound off to lower my special defense. That won't matter as Zoroark and Carracosta also die to Fusion Bolt, and it's time to face Getsis. In similar fashion to Reshiram, we aren't able to one-shot Cofagrigus and it lands Toxic. Eventually Zekrom goes down to Seismitoad, so now I can fly back to Mistral and delete Fly. Then I fill the empty slot with Reflect, replace Rock Smash with Shadow Claw, give Ideals the Pecha Berry, and return to the castle. Zekrom actually gets a critical hit Shadow Claw to KO Cofagrigus, which means we didn't even need the Pecha Berry on it. I forget to set Reflect up against Bouffalant, so I take big damage from Head Charge as I fire off a Dragon Claw. Next turn I knock Tauros' cousin out with another and Seismitoad comes in. Now I put my screen up and eat an Earthquake pretty nicely. Dragon Claw leaves the water ground type with around 25% as it uses Rain Dance. After Getsis uses a full restore, I'm able to outspeed Seismitoad and get a KO with 2 more Dragon Claws. Then something very unexpected happens as Hydreigon outspeeds me to kill with Dragon Pulse. After it happens a second time, I realized that I forgot to give Zekrom a neutral nature and it actually had a minus speed one. It didn't affect any battles prior to this one, so I fixed it and went back in. I also decided to replace Fusion Bolt with Rock Smash before this attempt. This time I lost my Pecha Berry to Cofagrigus, who took 2 Shadow Claws to kill. I remembered to set up Reflect against Bouffalant, but its first Head Charge was a critical hit which bypasses my screen. Luckily I get a crit of my own with Dragon Claw next turn to knock it out. After another Dragon Claw, Seismitoad's Earthquake brings us into the red, and after Ghetsis heals, we KO with 2 more. Hydreigon is next, and things finally go as expected. We outspeed and kill with Dragon Claw. Bisharp goes down to a 4 times effective Rock Smash, and Ideals hangs on with 8 HP after Electros is crunched to finish the leech with 2 Dragon Claws. That ending for Zekrom was extremely messy, and honestly I should have pivoted as soon as my original strategy didn't work. Zekrom clocked in with a time of 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 55 seconds, but that's unacceptable for me. I need to make things right, so let me show you how the endgame should have gone. I forced Chantal to burn her heals on Cofagrigus as I fire off Shadow Claws until it's dead, only taking 1 hit of Shadow Ball in the process. Then Golurk dies to 1 Shadow Claw, and although Chandelure takes 2, Jellicent will never survive Fusion Bolt. Again, Grimsley's Scrafty dies to Fly. Then Crocodile goes down to 2 Dragon Claws and hits an Earthquake. Bisharp lives Rock Smash and actually gets a Defiant boost, but we survive Night Slash and kill with another 4 times effective fighting move. Now the big thing I was missing. Liepard always dies to Fusion Bolt, so there was no reason to ever take an attack from it. My Caitlyn, Marshall, and End strategies stayed the same, so let's just see how Ghetsis goes. I lose the first to Toxic Damage and then go back in for our second and final fight. Everything goes according to plan, and we win at level 60 instead of 62, only taking 14 minutes to complete the game from the start of the Chantal battle as opposed to the 44 minutes it took the first time around. I'll be using the 14 minutes to clock Zekrom's official time as 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 29 seconds. With that settled, we now know that Reshiram is better equipped to beat this game than Zekrom. Truth proved to be stronger than Ideals. Being a younger brother myself, I hate to see the older brother win, but I do like Reshiram more than Zekrom, so it balances out. Learning the special stab flamethrower so early, as well as early access to charcoal, made things much easier for Reshiram, even though Zekrom had the advantage of attack EVs on its side. Zekrom required more TMs and items to maneuver its way through some of these battles, while Reshiram was able to just power through with flamethrowers, especially after setting up the sun for itself. Take Clay for example, where Zekrom actually lost on the first attempt and Reshiram barely broke a sweat. It's not surprising that both dragons beat the game at level 60, but I am a little shocked that the difference in time was as large as it was, about 8.5 minutes. I guess that's the price of picking up all the necessary items for Zekrom. The box art legendaries do manage to take the top 2 spots on our tier list for now, but maybe something will come along and overtake them. I had a lot of fun making this video and would love to do more verses in the future. If you enjoyed this run, consider leaving a like and subscribing down below. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.